CASA is unique because it is a partnership between the government and the community. It allows ordinary citizens into the courtroom to do extraordinary work.
This community is better because of CASA's. Outcomes for children are better because of CASA's. Our system has been pushed to do better because of CASA's.
The only person in the courtroom who has absolutely no agenda except for the best interest of the child is the CASA.
The story of Lucas County CASA started in the late 70s here in Toledo because of one man, the late juvenile court judge, Andy Devine.
He is the reason everything happened. This man was an amazing man.
Penny Stalin was an original member of the Citizens Review Board and key member of Junior League of Toledo, the group Judge Devine tasked with launching Lucas County CASA.
It was actually 78 where we started this process. And it was a new statute for the citizen review boards to be established.
Judge Devine, when he gets a project in mind, he wants to get it done. And the Junior League in our community has always had the reputation of getting the job done.
As just the third CASA in the country, Judge Devine believed that Lucas County could be a leader in the nation. But more importantly, he believed that children and families were worth fighting for.
He went to a national conference and he heard the director of the Seattle CASA program, which was the first CASA program in the country. He heard her speak and knew immediately, oh my God, we have to have this in Toledo, Ohio.
His focus really was on parents, but he knew that the CASAs would be that voice for children, and he always would talk about a lot of the work has to be with the parents, but in that he recognized that there had to be a voice at the table that represented children.
The job was too big for the courts. They needed help.
They wanted to talk to the teachers or the school nurse. They wanted to talk to the grandparents and the aunt and uncle. They wanted to find out more about medical records. And they didn't have that information, and they didn't always have the answers.
They needed CASA. And Judge Devine knew that CASAs could give the time and attention that our children deserved.
Having someone come in, different pair of eyes, looking at all the information, talking to everyone, just with one issue to make a recommendation on what is in the best interest.
The CASA is so important because these attorneys have a lot of work to do in a lot of cases, but a CASA, who's a volunteer, Judge Devine was aware that the reason he wanted them on board is they would take the time. They would really get to know the child. They'd find out all about their health background, what kind of education. They'd talk to their teachers, but they would see where they lived.
So because the CASAs are the only ones there that are just for the children, they play a huge role in those kinds of recommendations, whether to increase visits, whether to have them less supervised. Those sorts of things are critical.
Just as families have changed over the years, so too has CASA changed to continue to meet the needs of the children in our community.
Inhumanity directed toward children has made us all evolve. When I first started, we got involved with families because they had dirty houses. Now children are being murdered, and some of the worst possible things are happening to children. And so we've all had to evolve.
When the Junior League and Judge Devine started this program, trauma was not on their hit list, I can guarantee you. Things have changed dramatically. Today, trauma is really important. We have to know how to handle these traumatized children and often traumatized parents, and what services are in the community that best address the traumas and often multiple traumas that they've experienced.
And in the 40 years since Judge Devine's big idea, CASA has flourished with support from the courts and our incredible volunteers.
I can tell you this, that one of my most favorite things to do in my job is to swear in the CASA classes. It's uplifting. They obviously have the best interest of children and doing the right thing in their hearts.
Our CASA volunteers tell us that they've grown in ways they never imagined.
So here we are, more than 40 years later, and still one thing remains. It takes a village.
I had to have the church, support of my church. I had to have the support of the school. I had to have the support of the neighbors. I mean, we all had to come together. The whole community has to work at it. But the key today is not that it takes a village to raise a child. The key today, it takes a village to raise a parent who takes care of the child. That's the way we should be thinking. Not focusing the community on the child and ignoring the parent, but focusing in on the parent so that they can take care of the child and get this child safely to adulthood.